Hello, everybody. Welcome to live chat with Sow and Tare. I'm Katrina, and we can talk about anything homestead related. You guys just comment away, and we'll chat there. please remember to keep your comments family friendly. And somebody tell me that you can see and hear me, please. Maybe. I guess Steve sees me. All right, see and hear. Awesome. You guys were here before me. Woohoo. Feathery Connections, Kelly. Ha ha ha. Dang, just barely. Does that mean you got there first before the boys? Steve says, nice try. I saw your challenge yesterday. Was there a conversation before this? This is the furthest back it goes. Aaron says, well, looks like I'm late again. You're not late. I was right on time, so you're not late. Steve says, following me doesn't make you tardy. You beat Katrina. Yep, you guys all did, which is good. You show up, right? How can I be late to my event? It can happen. It could happen. My computer could have updated, but hopefully that doesn't happen. Steve has a question. Oh, wants to know if you're going to do a tour of your farm. Yeah, soon. That'd be good to see. That'd be neat to see. Procrastinating on some projects to complete so you can give the tour. You want it to look nice? What? Yeah, that's something that I just said, I'm just going to show reality. We have, stuff all around the house. It's there. It looks like everybody else's house. When I do my videos, I pay attention to that, but I also kind of just say, this is reality. This is realistic. So I go from there. Steve has procrastination down to a science. I believe that. Oh, Aaron says right now everything is so wet with the rain we had last few days. I can't even move what I need to move without running everything up. Excuses. We are supposed to get rain on Thursday. We have, I think it's like 80% chance. It was higher, and so I don't know if this is just going to continue to drop or if we're actually going to get rain. Hey, Verna. Verna's my moderator. She is awesome. And she's saying hi, everybody. Oh, Steve's asking how the pups are doing. Have you eaten any yet? I'm going to guess that he's talking to Verna about her koi, cavi, or guinea pig is the other name. And I don't think she's eaten them yet. They haven't done that. They haven't grown. They're only like a couple weeks old, right? They don't grow that fast. It just sounds strange and mean to eat pups. Yeah. Oh, Verna says, congratulations, Katrina, on 14 kids. Thank you. It was 13. 14. You are right. I don't know how to count. Meatball Money, she had 9 babies, and Tortellini had 5 babies. 9 plus 5 is 14. They all are doing good. I haven't checked on them today, actually, because I've been working and been busy and had other things. And I know that's a poor excuse, but because I want to see them, but I'll check on them tonight. And they just grow. Their hair grows incredibly fast. I'm always amazed at that. Just like a few hours after they're born, they're like, oh, hi, I have a little fuzz. Anyway, yes, so everything went good. They're doing good. Mamas are doing good. Daddy's doing good. And no stillborns. So that is good. Oftentimes when they have large litters, especially like Meatball had 9, oftentimes there's stillborns. So her biggest litter was 14 with 11 alive. So she had, I think it was 11 alive. Yeah, I think that's what it was. And so that can happen. But thank you, Verna. Aaron says, I bet they're nice and tender. The little ones, the little ones. Oh boy. Verna says, "Cause the pups are too small. They're only 4 ounces, snack size. Yeah, crunchy size. I don't know. Verna says a person should wait until they're at least 8 weeks. I'll be curious to know how big they get over 8 weeks because that's how long I wait for quail. Processing quail at 8 weeks. Some people wait till 10 weeks. I do it at 8 weeks, and it'd be interesting to see what the difference is. Steve doesn't eat anything that expensive. Oh, I missed the $30 each. Yeah, but they may be more valuable if I sell them. Yeah, so $30 each. I'm gonna guess that that's a pet sale, not a food sale. Can you let me know if that's true or not? Because $30 a piece, that would be like a really delicacy. Like it must taste really good. $30. Wow. Spam is cheap. Aaron says, I agree with Steve. Spam is cheap. There is a spam festival. This is true. I've not been, but I have a friend who has. There is a spam festival in the Delta, in like Central California, in the Delta. And it's all about spam. So if you like spam, maybe go to that. Ed Got Bait says, good evening, everyone. Good evening. Everybody saying hi. Verna says, everyone share this so your friends will join. Thank you, Verna. Great idea. Ed Got Bait says, just ordered seeds from Baker Creek, indigo blue chocolate tomatoes and black strawberry tomatoes. Wife loves the freeze-dried tomatoes I've been making for her. That is awesome. I have not looked into... That's not true. Let me start over. My tomatoes have been horrible. They haven't been horrible. They haven't been doing anything. I have not been able to grow tomatoes that besides the little cherry tomatoes that just come up on their own. But a real good tomato, I have not had any out of the garden for the last 2 years. And last year we had enough stores from the year before because that was a boom year. And then this year we haven't had much at all. I mean, it's stuff you buy, but I haven't had any canned from 2 years ago because that's a while. I think I found 1 can of spaghetti sauce, 1 jar of spaghetti sauce. And so I said I'm going to research heat tolerant tomatoes. And I actually emailed, I was going to talk with someone in Baker Creek Wild Boar Farm. And then I just happened to order something from Territorial Seed, which is out of Oregon. And I asked them about varieties that were good for heat. And he gave me 2 varieties. I haven't ordered them yet. I need to. But I will be doing heat tolerant varieties and see if I get tomatoes. So if you didn't know, I know the reason why I'm having trouble with tomatoes. I'd never had trouble until this year and last year. I had 1 year, long time ago, that it just was an okay year, but it all has to do with heat. So once the temperature goes above a certain temperature, the flowers become sterile. Like they don't work. They don't become fruit anymore. And so that is... different varieties have different temperatures where that happens. So that's my goal, is to plant some this next year that I can actually get tomatoes from, because it's not looking like the world's getting cooler. So I'm sure they are great freeze dried, and I'm sure you could just like freeze dry them and then crumble them up, and you can have a topping on something, or put it in sour cream with some seasonings. That would be good. Yum. Steve doesn't know what a tomato is. Sure you do. You're right on time. Yes, I was right on time. I actually forgot that my computer was in the other room and turned off. Yeah, Vern agrees that freeze-dried tomatoes are great. Oh, didn't see Tickle Trunk. Tickle Trunk is Kelly Feathered Connections. Steve, that's their names. They're tomatoes. Verna says, it's funny, Katrina. Kits are born naked after about 30 days. Koi are born fully furred at about 69 days. Yeah, so that's part of what I'm curious is like what the growth rate is. Obviously, they jump out they come out ready to go, the cuy, and um, rabbits obviously need a lot of time. Basically 2 weeks in the nest box until they start trying to hop out of the nest box. 2.5 weeks about. So, yeah, I'm just curious to see your process. The parents are over 2 pounds, so if they are over a pound, then it will be fine. Okay. Yep, pet sale. Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't buy $30 of a guinea pig each to eat. That would be expensive. Vern says freeze-dried tomato slices taste like freshly picked and sliced tomatoes without the drippy mess. It says, when tomatoes I order are cherry tomatoes. Yeah, cherry tomatoes, some of them I like, some of them I don't. There's one that was, well, that's not true. I've had two that I don't like. One is the blueberry tomato, and I don't know if that's a real variety or if that's a sales gimmick. It's one of the ones that get kind of bluish or blackish with anthocyanin with the sun exposure, and they just didn't taste good. And I actually pulled that out. That's the only tomato plant I've ever pulled out. And then at the Heirloom Expo, which used to be every year in Santa Rosa, they have a tomato tasting, which is really cool because you get to taste all these different varieties. And Brad's Atomic grape tomato, I didn't care for. The skin is very thick. I didn't care for it, but that's okay. I didn't plant it. And if any is wondering, that happens, I think the week after QuailCon or the week after. It's in September. And they are going to do one this next year, but it is in Ventura, which is, 6 hours away from me instead of 3 hours away from me where my cousin lives. So I can stay at her house. So I'll probably go, but I'm going to have to figure out someone down there to see, or, get a room or something. Verna says, so Katrina, that means tomatoes are the veggie rabbits? I don't understand that. That's okay. Feather Connection said, hey, just popping in to say hi. Still feeling like trash, and hubby's super sick too, so I'm in charge of the kiddos to bed. I'm sorry. I'm hoping that you feel better soon, because being sick is not great. Yeah. Get better. And everybody saying hi, and that you get better. Ed says, hope you both get better soon. Aaron says, in our area, we use a Creole tomato. They do well until it gets really hot and humid, usually around June. Aaron, what is really hot? Because we got up to 115. We got up to like maybe 108 pretty regularly last year. It was ridiculous. And we got up to 115. So what is really hot there? That's good to know, though. And is Creole a variety of tomato, or is it like a category of tomato? And now is not too early to be talking about tomatoes. You're going to plant your tomatoes earlier than you think. So start getting your seeds now. If you guys haven't already received your seed packets, or you've received your seed catalogs in the mail, you'll start getting them soon. Or if you start looking for them, if you're not already on a list, you start looking for them, and you'll see them soon. Ed says, I can take the seeds from the store bought tomatoes, right? Yep, you can do that. I've done that. I've done that by accident as well, because if you give tomatoes to your worms, then they don't eat the seeds. So, and then you put that worm castings on your plants and you end up with tomato seeds everywhere. Tomatoes, I think they fare fairly close to the original. So there's two different types. One is like a hybrid, and you don't know what you're going to get. You're going to get whatever, it's kind of like genetics. Mom and dad get together, and all the kids look different. But an heirloom tomato, those seeds, so like if you buy an heirloom tomato at the store, it should be that tomato, that if you plant a seed from an heirloom tomato, you will get that tomato. If you plant a seed from a hybrid tomato, you'll get a tomato, which is edible, but you don't know what you're getting. And it may be better, it may be worse, it may be the same. You may not be able to tell the difference. Yeah, definitely. You can grow any seed from the store. Like, yeah, try it. Yeah, Verna says yes as well. Esso says, to be fair, I have to fix my monitor. I thought it said tornado, not tomato. Let's not have tornadoes of tomatoes. That would be bad. Aaron says, Ed, you can cheat and save the seeds from farmers market tomatoes. Yep. Yeah, if you find a really good tomato, just save the seeds. And how you can also honestly just let a part of the tomato rot in a pot, and it will do everything it needs to do to become tomatoes. Tomato seeds have a coating around it. I don't remember what it's called, but it needs to have something happen to that coating in order for it to sprout. So what this looks like normally when you see people saving seeds for tomatoes is they let it rot a little, and that will break down that coat around the seed. And then other seed, scarification is one word for that. I don't actually know if that's the word for what tomatoes need, but it does need to go through some either acid or breakdown of rotting, all of that to have a better, I almost said hatch rate, to have a better production, a better growth. What is it called? Germination. There we go. Germination. Verta says rabbits are stale when it's too hot. So are tomatoes. Oh, got it. Yeah, I think that's what happened to my boy. That's with the false pregnancies at first. Both of them had false pregnancies, and I thought it was cooler, but I don't know. When it gets warm, too hot, male rabbits can go temporarily sterile. And I don't know how much cooler weather they need in order to jumpstart that back in. If anybody knows, let me know. Yeah. Yeah, so Feather Connections just said the same thing. They go sterile after a certain temp, just like rabbits do. I somehow missed that connection, which I should not have. Feather Connection says, also it doesn't make it better, but I'm sick from my diabetes, not the stomach bug that's going around. Well, don't get the stomach bug as well, and make sure you're leveled out on what you need to be leveled out on. Verna says you can do hydroponic tomatoes inside. You can also grow them. You can grow them inside on a kitchen sill if you want to. I mean, it just needs more light than a lot of other plants you might grow on a windowsill. But you can definitely start them inside. Yeah, Kelly, take care of yourself. That is dangerous. That's Verna says. Yep, absolutely. I'm just going to jump down. G2G, take more insulin. Love to all. Good night. Good night, Kelly. I hope that you are doing better and everything's leveled out. Aaron says, really hot here is 95 plus. Corioli is a variety. I'll send you information on it. It was developed by LSU Ag Department in the 1950s. Great. I would appreciate that. That's awesome. 95 plus. It used to be that 95 was like kind of the peak hot, and you get a few days here and there. But the past several years, we've been hundreds and above, like at a week at a time. It's not been like, oh, here's one day, or oh, here's a couple days. It's been long extended periods of time. And I'm just afraid that that's going to be the norm. I mean, we have basically 2 years that have been like that. Yeah, but I appreciate that. Ed says, wonder if I can grow them in the reptile room as they have full spectrum light for 13 hours a day. and warm. Yeah, you probably could. You could probably grow all sorts of stuff in there. You should grow that as a greenhouse. It should be your greenhouse reptile room. Maybe, is it humid in there? Ooh, I have an idea for you, Ed. If it's humid in there, you can grow vanilla. I want to grow vanilla, but it has to be humid, and I've heard that they don't fruit, or they don't start flowering and having fruit until they're like 20 feet long or something like that. And you do have to hand pollinate them, but that would be what I would try. It's worth a try. Vern says, of course you can. You can plant a slice of tomato as some plants. Yeah, that's what I was talking about, is just plant a piece of, you don't even have to plant it. You can just lay it on top of the soil. I mean, covering it with soil, you wouldn't see all the rotting then, so that would be good. Guidro's Urban Homestead. Hello. I usually ferment my tomato seeds for a few days. Yeah, that's usually what people do. They put them in like water and then they ferment. I used the word rot. Come on. It's the same. Yeah, so it's fermentation that goes through that seed coat and scarifies it. Ed says they already have a movie called Killer Tomatoes. They do, and it is a classic. Guido says it's around 3 weeks of cooler weather to make their fertility go back up. Awesome. That's in reference to the rabbits. That is good to know. Yeah, I think I may have waited like 2 weeks, and I just should have waited longer. And the thing is, they acted like they were pregnant. Like they rejected him, the second time around. You tested him 12 hours in, and they rejected him just like they had before, when they were pregnant. So I don't know. They have babies now, though. Guido says, "Hey Verna, I've been creeping and just listening." Aw, Verna says, "Give Lane a hug for me." Hugs to Lane. Ed says, "No, not humid. Oh, bearded dragons live in dry climates." Yep, they do. They do. But you could still put some good plants in there. You could probably do some of the tropical stuff, I bet. Yeah, so I have a question. A few weeks ago, I gave people homework, I think mostly Aaron and Guidro's Urban Homestead, to can water. And I want to hear if you guys did it and how it turned out. And the reason why I was saying canning water is that is the easiest, safest thing to practice on. You don't waste food. It's okay if you do it wrong, because you can, it's just water. So I'm wondering if you guys or anybody else did that assignment and canned water. Versus Hand, I will be able to breed Havanas all year long. So that's a type of rabbit, as the animal room has good air conditioner. Yeah. People that can breed all year round either have them in cooler areas or have air conditioning. Verna says dragon fruit Ed can do. Yes, I actually have dragon fruit, and the first year I had the first one that I got, it was already pollinated, and I got a couple of fruit, I think 3 off of it. And then since then, one time I came back from a work trip and there was a curled up, dried up flower that I did not pollinate because I was gone for work. There are 3 flowers that happened on the white dragon fruit this year, and it looks like, I'm not sure if the third one took or not, but at least 2 of them, it looks like they're growing fruit. So I didn't pollinize them, I didn't pollinate them, so they must have self-pollinated. Maybe there's some moths or flies out at night. So that's cool. I'm looking forward to that because I haven't had fruit off of it in a very long time. And I have another dragon fruit that I don't even know the type. It was one on a site that someone said, "Hey, you want this?" I said, "Sure." And then I have some other named varieties that I haven't fruited yet either. So yeah. Ed Got Bait says, "I freeze dry some water." Did you really? My mom was saying that when she was here. I don't think so. Deidre says, We didn't, but I did order an electric pressure canner that will be here Thursday. All right. There is, I don't know if we talked about it on here or not, but there are electric pressure canners that people use. I think only one of them is FDA approved, and I don't know anything about them. I just wanted to make sure that whatever you do is safe, and if it needs to be calibrated, that you know to get it calibrated. So that's, there we go. Hopefully it does well for you. Erin says, oh boy, I'm glad Linda isn't here tonight. She's making sure I pressure can something. Maybe she'll pop on. I'll remind her to remind you. S.O. Swanson says, I did not do the assignment. My dog drank my water. Just kidding. I don't currently have a pressure canner. It would be better if you said, just kidding, I currently don't have a dog. That would have been more funny. You can water in a water bath canner too. If you're unfamiliar with water bath canning, you can do the same test, the same practice with water in a water bath. And all you need for that is a stock pot. And if you don't have a rack to put in the bottom, just put a washcloth. You need something in between the jars and the bottom. I went for a long time without putting anything, and then finally I broke a jar. And that's why you need something there, is because it won't happen every time, but sometimes. Lots of buffering. No buffering here. Okay. All right. Hopefully you guys aren't buffering. Aaron says my excuse is I was with Steve that day. I'm sure he'll corroborate the story. I'm sure. Yeah, that day we were planning out our chores. All right, so hopefully buffering's gone. Hey, my mom's here. Mary, freeze dry water. Just add water to hydrate. Yep. Everybody saying hi. Hi to mom. Guido says I did get the FFA approved one. Does it fly? Or does it have farming? What is FFA? Future Farmers of America? FDA, Food and Drug Administration. I knew you knew that. I just wanted to have some fun. I always have confusion between Future Farmers of America and what's the flight one? I think it's FAA. I don't know. Anyway, yes, FDA. So yeah, I'm glad you are doing that, and wish you luck and do it safely. So Swanson says, canning and water bath in my time, finishing my pan and pilching I made last year. Awesome. Verna says, Christina, every time I try to buy one of those, they are out. They are really popular. I mean, you guys, anything self-sufficient or preserving or food or anything related like that is going fast. One thing that I know today is the last day of is the sale for the green stocks. So those vertical have, their Black Friday sale ends today. And in all of my videos in the description, there's a link for $10 off. And so you after the live, not now, you can do that if you'd like to buy one. And they're actually, it's like 30 plants, 5 tiers, it's 30 plants in like that much floor space, which is really awesome. It turns. Definitely get the spinner base with the wheels, or the spinner base if you know you're not going to move it. And that's worth it. I didn't get it, and it was weird. So get that if you do that. So that is something that I know is a great idea. Yeah. And let's see. Ed sent Verna a link. Aaron, question for Ed. How do you remove... I know that's not California glue, but I live in California. What is CA glue? Hopefully you're not stuck to something. Guido says, I do type FFA a lot. because our older son is in it. So my phone thought I was talking about that. Yes. Yeah, I figured. I knew you knew what you were talking about. I just wanted to have fun with you. Oh, it says it will wear off. I don't know what CA glue is. Guido says, I ordered mine from Farm and Fleet, free shipping, and it was on sale. Okay, she's talking about the electric pressure canner. Yeah, that's... I'd be interested to see over time what they come out with about that and how well it keeps its calibration, because I always go towards analog for anything. And so any question about needing to calibrate, I'm like, I would rather get something I don't need to calibrate. And so I got the all-American pressure canner, which is more expensive, but I figure you buy it once. And then for Presto canners, if you don't do that, you can actually get a jiggler so that you just go based on the weight instead of the dial gauge. And that solves that issue. So yeah, personal opinion, I would stick with my All-American. That's not what I wanted to hear. Uh-oh, Aaron, what are you stuck to? Oh, Ed says the oils in your skin won't let it stay long. All right. Oh, cyanoacrylate glue. I said that right. I probably didn't. Cyano is blue, right? Acrylate. Anyway. Yeah, they would be on sale at the end of the month, where us poor folks are broke. Yeah. Well, Black Friday is always at the end of the month, right? But the $10 off link for the green stocks, that's all the time. So it's in the description of all of my videos. And I think I might get like a coupon or money towards it. I don't know. Anyway, it's a link for $10 off there. Super fancy super glue because it's blue. Let's see. Ed says the link is for the National Center for Home Food Preservation. Yep. Thank you. Yeah. So National Center for Home Food Preservation is it's basically where you go to see what approved recipes or approved preservation methods there are for whatever you're doing. And it will tell you whether something is going to be shelf stable or not shelf stable. Like pickled eggs are not shelf stable. A lot of people do it. A lot of people don't get sick, but it has a history of botulism. So botulism can kill you. So I figure, refrigerate it. And then to realize that this is for home preservation, and what you see in the store is preserved with things that are not available to us to use in our home. You know, they have bigger and better equipment in the world than what you can get at home. Yeah. The Steve B3. Hello. I believe acetone will dissolve super glue. Maybe. They're talking about something specific, so I don't know. But welcome. Verna says, I used to have 2 of them, Katrina, but I left them when I moved them down here. Didn't have room to take all I wanted. Oh, yeah, that sucks. Room thing. It's that room thing. Ed says, pro tip, keep your CA glue in the refrigerator. I've had mine in there for years. Does that work for like pipe glue and stuff like that too? PVC glue? Because I have some on the table right here because I don't want to leave it out in the garage and have it get all hot. I guess I don't really want it in the refrigerator either. Oh boy. Guido says, I felt the same with the electric pressure canner because we're only 3 foot of altitude where we live. Okay. Yeah. So when you're pressure canning or water bath canning, well, there's different times that you cook for, or that you process for. And then with the pressure canning, there's different pressures that you process for based on your elevation. So 0 to 1,000 is the basic, that first number. Yeah. Oh, Ed says, yes, acetone will take it off. Well, did you just want Aaron to suffer then? You had the answer. Verna says, yeah, Christina, the only one that is FDA approved is a certain model of Presto. Yeah, and Presto's been around a long time. I don't know. The only thing I know about it is from stuff that I've learned from other people on YouTube. I only have an all-American canner, so, but they work very similarly. And if you have a Presto that's not electric, then you can put the weight on there and do a weight gauge, and that solves your issue of having to get your dial calibrated every year. Yeah. Steve says it only took one person to get sick off my pickled eggs for botulism, for them to call it unsafe. Only one person that I heard of, and he got healed. Uh-oh. I'm hoping that you're joking, but yeah, botulism is something that has oh, not your pickled eggs, somebody's pickled eggs. I don't know. It's enough for the National Center for Home Food Preservation to say that, and I also think that you know, the environment in which you can, if you're touching things all over the place and going in there, that would be different. And then also paying attention to the percentage of acid in your vinegar might also be the case, because not all vinegar is 5% acid. So like a lot of times apple cider vinegar isn't 5% acid. You have to actually look and see if it's 5%. 5% is a safe percent. And if it's lower than that, then you don't want to use it for canning purposes. You don't want to use it as the acid in your canning process, if that makes sense. You can substitute 5% vinegar for lemon juice, but you cannot substitute lemon juice for the vinegar, because that's not going to be as acid, likely. Vera said, what I heard, Steve, was there was a history of 3 people in 20 years that had gotten it. Yeah. But do you really want to be the person responsible for that? So I would say if you have like a really cold, like root cellar, then I think that, you know, if it's cold, like refrigerator cold, I think that would be fine. But yeah. Steve says 67-year-old man in 1997, so old people shouldn't eat it. I don't know about that. Aaron says I might have gotten my hand stuck to quail feet and gemstones. It will be a fun shower. So, Aaron, were you bedazzling some quail feet? This leads to more questions than answers. Ed says maybe never. Oh, for the PVC glue, if you wrap your paint brushes and paint rollers in plastic and put in the refrigerator, the paint will not dry on them. And you can just use next day. Or yeah, I did that when I painted my house. Is I just put the roller in a bread bag, obviously with no crumbs, but I put it in a bread bag and just left the whole roller in there and kind of twisted it up and sealed it there, and then put it in the refrigerator and used it again. That does work. Yeah, good tip. Steve says, Aaron, just tell people it's a growth till it falls off. Steve says the acid does not penetrate all the way into the egg, which is why it's a problem. Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, as it sounds like he was bedazzling himself. Yes, I have big fingers, so I shouldn't be crafting. Yeah. So I have some good news from today. Someone that I had approached for a restaurant, he's interested in eggs, and it looks like his restaurant isn't a great fit for quail eggs, but he is. So I just dropped off 4 dozen eggs for him, and 7 birds. So he wanted some birds, some quail, and they are 4 weeks old. So he was super excited to see them, and it was a really, really good interaction. I told him when I went there originally a few weeks ago, I was selling eggs, and he goes, "Oh, and I want some quail." He didn't even know I had ones to give away, or to sell. And so he basically was like, "Oh, I want quail." And so I'm like, "Well, I have babies right now. Wait a couple weeks." And so now he has 7 quail. He did choose to do 2 males and 5 females, and I told him that is going to be a rough numbers, and he knows that. So he knows that the ratio should be 5 females to 1 male. And so he's gonna have to pick which one he wants to keep, or if he wants to keep one separate somehow, or if he's gonna eat that one. So he does know that. But it was really fun to see them for the first time. And he asked how old they were. I said 4 weeks. He's like, "They're big." So that was pretty cool. Yeah, Aaron says that's great news. Yes, it is. Verna says use tweezers next time. Yeah. My mom says 4 dozen eggs. Yay. Yes. Yes. Wonderful, Katrina. Thank you, Verna. Aaron is going to wear gloves from now on. Yeah. Dazzled gloves, I hear. It says it's good news, not as good as his restaurant. Yeah, it's a diner, like a regular, kind of all-American diner. So it's not, it's kind of one of those things that if they do a special, it might do okay, but is not a full on, quail egg thing. But yeah, it's good experience. Guido says, sent you a pic on Facebook Messenger of the project. All right, I will check that. Will most likely be necklaces or keychains. Awesome. Yeah, I have quail foot ideas, and they're in here. They're not out in the world yet. I need time is what I need. Ed says, LOL, they make a spray that unbinds CA glue. This just sounds like unbonds. Okay, so this just sounds like you're going to buy a glue and then you're going to buy something that unsticks it. That sounds weird. Berta says, send to me, Christina. Oh, the projects. Awesome. Aaron says, I wonder how fast Amazon can ship the unbonding spray. Well, if it comes from China, you're out of luck. I am still waiting on, and I don't know if they're coming from China or not, but I'm still waiting on. I ordered some stamps for some date stamps and some 3 number stamps for my quail egg packages so that I can just set the right date and stamp, and the Julian date is the 3 number date, and I can just, set the right date and stamp. And I just haven't done that. I mean, I haven't received it yet, so I've just been writing on the label myself, which is fine. It'd just be faster to do it the other way. Katrina, make a 1-pot meal and take it to him. Might change his mind. Yeah, maybe. They have it's a very, very busy restaurant, and very busy. So, but I think that he's going to be a return customer, and we might try something here and there with a restaurant. We'll see what time brings. Steve says, I had a person stop today to buy birds. I declined as I don't have my breeder's license. They actually work for the licensing department. I think they were testing me. Interesting. Yeah, that is interesting. On my egg handler paperwork that I filled out, it asked if you're going to be if you're hatching, and I checked the boxes. I checked all the boxes that I might do, So, so yeah, I should be good. Interesting. Oh, Verna's saying they're beautiful, Christina. The bedazzlings. You're gonna have to look at that after. The Steve B3 is nail polish remover is also acetone. Yes, it stinks. That is what we used for when I was in an entomology class in college. We did insect collections, and in the way that we killed the insects was nail polish remover on a cotton ball in a jar. So yeah, you don't want to get too much of that inhaled because that's not good for you. But yeah, that's a good tip. Aaron says, Steve, good call on that one. In Louisiana, we don't need any license or permit for cotornics. Yeah, same in Ohio, Verna says. Aaron saying thanks to the Steve B3. Sue said, I told her I would put a sign up at the road when I had some for sale. Yep. Now, Steve, are you talking about live birds or processed birds? I guess that's a good question, because process is a different scenario, which I still haven't found out what the rules are. I know there should be some on farm, under this amount allowance, but I haven't looked into it. So yeah. Yeah. Verna says you can get acetone in paint areas, big box stores. Yep. Ed says send me pics of the quail feet items. I may be able to get you ideas. Yeah. So Ed, so those that are listening that might not know, Ed is our crafting genius. He knows how to make everything. Oh, but he doesn't have any fresh quail feet. Fresh or frozen. Yeah. Verna says, Ed, when you get your quail back, you can put them with stones in the freeze dryer and dry them. Yeah. Would they get so Verna's talking about like a pendant, the claw holding a stone like a pendant is what I'm guessing. And I am wondering how that works, if it would be more brittle in the freeze dryer or if they turn out just as hard as if you dehydrated them. That would be interesting to hear. Processed birds you can sell in Ohio on farm. Yeah, I haven't looked into that here. I haven't looked into it. So yeah. Oh, Ed says, yep, and then copper plate them, the feet. Don't have quail feet at all. You need quail in order to have quail feet, Ed. S.O. Swanson in Mississippi, I can only raise 100 for personal use. Once I get the breeder's license, I can sell live or process to anyone, anywhere, anytime. Interesting. 100 for personal use. So is that 100 breeders or is that 100 babies? Like, can you have two batches going at the same time that equal more than 100? That's like, hopefully you know what I'm trying to ask. Like, can you have your egg layers and then you have your other ones that you're going up for meat? Like, let's say you have 20 egg layers and then you happen to hatch out 85 baby quail. Are you in violation at that point? It's interesting how different states treat things differently, and how a lot of times people just get discouraged from either raising their own thing or sharing what they're raising via sales. Yeah. Steve says, I can even ship processed out of state with the breeder's license, though I won't. That is interesting. I wonder how that works to states that have different rules. It's interesting. Verna says they're not brittle. So they're talking about the feet in the freeze dryer. Awesome. That's actually a pretty good idea then, because it's probably going to be, I mean, it's going to draw out all the moisture, so that's good. Yeah. Ed says waiting for spring to start then up again. Yep. And then hopefully by then you'll be running, Ed. C says 100 birds live. 100 live birds total in my possession. If you have 2 people, can you have 200, or is it per household? Maybe I'm just testing you. I'm just curious if they do like a per person, or like if there's 2 households living on the same property, like if you can get around that if you have someone else living with you. I don't know. Aaron says, Ed, I can save feet next time I butcher and mail you some. Only in this group, only in the quail community can you say something like this. Verna says, cuz it sounds like they are doing Coturnix the same as Bob White. Oh, okay. So they're just calling quail basically, and all the rules apply to quail. Yeah, that might be. It might also be that if it's defined as Coturnix, then it's defined. But if it's not defined as just quail, then they might not have a separate thing, rules for that. Yeah. Where it says dehydrator only removes 75 to 80% moisture, freeze dryer does 100%. Yep. Steve says yes is mainly for Bob White, but it has other, and you have to list what. It's all quail. Yeah. List the type. I mean, it's kind of weird because like Bob White is a native to the United States. It might even be native to where you are. I think maybe it is. You're Mississippi, right? And anyway, it's native to Midwest area, I believe. And that makes more sense to have permits for those because a lot of people release them into the wild. Like they raise them to release them into the wild, or they raise them to release for hunting, and they may end up in the wild. Yeah, Bob White is native here, but they're very, very few, Steve says. Yeah. So, they can, any issues with disease that you have in your flock could then go to the wild population. I think that's probably where that comes from. So either that, so disease prevention, or they're afraid that people are going to be taking them out of the wild if they're a low population and into captivity. I know that's something that with chinchillas, there are more chinchillas in captivity than in the wild. So that's another reason they just want to know who has them and where they came from, I think. But it's interesting that they, Japanese quail are not native. There's so many native quail here in the United States. We have mountain quail and the California quail and all that too. But if it's from a total another country, yeah, interesting. Verna says, or it could just be governmental greed. Yeah, I think that could be part of it. They do want their fingers in everything, but it also could be ignorance. People can't be. People in these positions are very unlikely to be educated in everything that they can cover. And so it might just be, oh, it's a quail. Well, yeah, it's a quail. Why would there be any other kind of quail? Or why would we treat it any other different way? I know it could also be shortcomings in staff. Not shortcomings, but they might be short-staffed. Like, oh, we need to do quail and chicken, but we are only going to focus on chicken because that's what most people have. And the quail people can just figure it out. Like, that's kind of how I feel the handler certificate was. I mean, that's how it's written. And then I'm lucky that the guy in charge of that, he's very responsive, and I was able to ask questions and he, give me answers. So I think it could be many different reasons. Also depends on when stuff was written and if it is, if it's actually if it's still current or if they updated things or if they just like, that looks good, we don't need to update that. That might be another reason. I'm just trying to justify like kind of thoughts of why they would include things that are so different, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, so I guess the other news you guys already know, or people who are commenting at least already know, is that we have baby bunnies, and I do plan on keeping one. I'm hoping that Tortellini has some good females. I am hoping to keep one female because we lost ZD, which was another breeder. So we're going to be handling that batch a bunch to try and just handle them as much as possible. And then once we narrow down, which ones are the girls, handle them with that and decide which one to keep and try and really keep her really, really, really handled. My rabbits, I think, were probably a little bit more handled, like picked up handled before me, but they definitely get handled, pets and stuff all the time, every day from me. But I want to make sure that moving forward, I have individuals from baby stage that are, you can pick them up, do anything with them. That's my hope. So we'll see if that works or not. But that will be a process that you guys can see through. And if you have suggestions, I'm open to that. And I'll be, once I find out which ones are the females, it takes a while, to be able to differentiate. Then I will be kind of asking the groups opinions on what to look for in the meat rabbit as a baby. Ed says Bob Whites are native here in Virginia as well. Yep. Steve says, how do you decide which to keep to breed? Yeah, so if you're talking about rabbits, that is something I haven't done yet. And as I understand it, number one's going to be temperament, because I want a rabbit that is easy to be with, is, likes to be pet. I mean, I do want that. And then second is how fast does it grow? So right now, we could, with the babies that we've been getting, with the kits that we've been getting from these mamas, they have been growing out to butcher size between 8 and 12 weeks. We've been doing 12 weeks just because, I mean, they're still tender and they're bigger and it's good. I don't know that we need to. I might do 8 weeks instead this time around and see where that gets me. But the goal is to get them big fast. And so that would be something I'm looking for. And then also, making sure you're looking at the feet, make sure the feet look good and they are fully furred and all of that, which everybody is right now. Well, not the babies. They don't have that yet, but all the adults are right now. So yeah, so I'll be looking and learning. I have not ever selected a breeder as a baby yet. So that is something I'll be learning. Yeah. The Steve B3, that's one big coffee, Carol. This is tea. I don't drink coffee. This is tea. I have a tea bag. It is big, but it's tea. It's mostly water. Come on. Yeah, I'm not a coffee person. You're funny. Verna says, Katrina, there are some areas that are against anything that is homesteading or self-sufficient, so they were regulated like crazy. Yeah, that is true, and I don't understand why. I think in this world that we live in today, we have to be able to help ourselves. I mean, look at, like, during the World Wars, there was a big push for people to have gardens at home and all that. And then now you have, HOAs that prevent you from gardening in your front yard. Like, okay, that's odd. So yeah, I don't understand the reasoning there, but I know that's true. Stu says, "Oh, and I love how you reach in and they come to you for petting. The bunnies? Yes, sometimes they come up before I even open the door. They are so cute. And Tortellini especially, she'll if here's the edge of the hutch, she'll stick her head out and she'll be like, pet me. And the same thing with Parmesan. Whenever I have new people over and I introduce them, I always introduce them to the Parmesan because he loves everybody. And the girls are okay with everybody, but they really, I mean, they know me. They know Manuel too, but it's mostly me. And they just immediately go, come pet me. And sometimes when when they haven't seen me in a couple days, like if I go away and come back, or if like partway through the pregnancy, you can tell that they're not feeling the greatest. They haven't eaten a little bit. And so when I go like this, here's the hutch. I just go like this and they'll just shove their head into my hand and they're like, oh my gosh, love me. And so I spend extra time when they do that. But when I have new people come in, I'll introduce them Parmesan and I open the hutch and he's like looking over the edge and they think he's going to jump out, but he doesn't. He likes his space. He just wants to see and smell what you have. And pretty cool. Yeah, they are fun. Thank you, Steve. Verna says, that is amazing how she does it because they come across the cage for loving. They do. They absolutely do. They come across for loving. And like I said, the lady who had it before, she was a 4-H person, and when she graduated high school, she needed to relocate her animals, rehome her animals, and she was going off on her next adventure. And so she definitely spent a lot more time actually holding them, and I haven't done as much of that, but yeah, they come for pets. They just relax in. It's awesome. Berna says, Katrina, a lot of animals will follow their parents' lead. That's my hope. That's my hope because I have some good parents here. Yeah. Aaron says, Bob Whites are native in Louisiana, but more north of me. Yeah, I don't think they're on this side of the Rocky Mountains. I think they're mostly on the other side. I don't know if that is the line or if they go further than that. Yeah. Gidro says, we kept our biggest, meatiest female from one of our litters. She stood out in size since she was born. We rarely ever keep any back for breeders. Most are called for meat or sold. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I'll be asking more these questions from those people who have saved back their breeders once I know how many females there are and go from there. Steve says, Aaron, that's because all your alligators ate them. Oh boy, I don't need alligators. I went to Florida once and I can see how people can back into an alligator. When they are sitting low in that grass, they are hard to see. Yeah. Verna says, if I had a house, I would grow food, not grass. Yeah, that's going back to the HOA. Yeah, and I when I moved in, so you guys have seen my front yard. I don't think you've seen it as a whole yard. You've seen parts of it, right? I have the 2 fruit tree boxes, which if I did it over again, I would not do boxes. I would maybe make a little mound. And so I have cherries over here and plums and pluots and some peaches and apricot over here. And then in front of that, I have, it was going to be kind of like a meadow. And actually, it reminds me, I will throw out more flaxseed before this rain we get on Thursday so I can have a good flax year because it's beautiful when it's out there. All you do is you take flaxseed from the store and you don't have to spend money on special seeds. You just go to the store, go to the bulk section, get some flaxseed and just broadcast it before it rains. I did that with chia as well, but chia doesn't stand the frost. So don't do that now. Do that after the frost if you still have rain. And so that was like bringing the pollinators in, and all sorts of stuff. One year I had multi-headed sunflower that came over from a neighbor's. Same neighbor, it came over as California poppy, and right now I have a bunch of different sages along the front. I have Russian sage, hot lip sage, a couple other ones that have a blue flower. So that's more like bringing the pollinators in. And then over by the driveway, which is not driveway anymore, is an archway, and in the archway is an apple tree and an apple with sweet potatoes planted underneath it. Don't do that. That's silly, unless you only want to eat the leaves, because you're not supposed to dig under trees. And so I planted some stuff in there, some lovage and some taro, some of the other stuff. And then the archway has the passion vine. And then on the other side, in this little strip, 2 years ago, I had wonderful tomatoes there. That was the tomato spot. That's why I planted them there this year, and it didn't work. But I have ground cherries there, wolfberries, my bouillon bush. There are 3 pawpaw trees that are about this big from seed in there. There's Tacoma stands, which is good for diabetes. I need to let Kelly know about that one. And stress. It's good for stress. You chew on the flowers for stress. And lavender is always there. That's all in the front yard. My front yard is not big. Okay, my whole property is 7,000 square feet. You can grow a lot. Oh, and the nasturtium just started coming up. So I have more seeds of that to plant, because I think that's something that I can sell to restaurants. So yeah, so you definitely rip out that lawn. Oh, there's tree collard out there. I could go on and on. Lemon balm, hot and spicy oregano. Yum. Okay, I'm done. So don't do grass. My whole front yard used to be topiary shrubs and about 4 inches of red lava rock, which was on top of plastic. And I've turned it into that. So you can do a lot. Yeah. Let's see. Verna says, love how you transport your females to male's cage and back. Oh yeah, so I have the technique. If you guys didn't see it, that's Sunday's video. The bunnies, what I name it? Baby bunnies breeding, birth, and nursing, I think is what I named it. And a lot of people, they just grab the scruff and lift them up. I'm like, these are heavy rabbits. I wouldn't want to be lifted up by my back, like by my, yeah, that would be hurt. That would hurt. And then other people lift them up by the scruff and then kind of tuck up their feet. So they're kind of just like this. And that looks a little more comfortable, but it looks a little awkward. And I never was good at that. That wasn't something that I was good at, getting them into that position. So if you want to see how I do it, that is in that video. There's even timestamps for a couple times where I do that, and it works for me. It works for the rabbit. Everybody's secure and safe, so that's good. Yeah, thank you, Verna. Gudro says, I'd love to see your yard as a whole. I was always trying to figure out if you were practicing permaculture when I first started watching. I need to do a whole yard tour. This is kind of like your husband, Aaron. I have stuff everywhere. So it doesn't always look, it looks a little junky in places. But yeah, I need to do a whole yard tour. Maybe I'll do that in the spring when things are a little more growy. And you can actually see how much you can grow on a small plot of land. 7,000 square foot, that's including my house, which is small. It's small enough to be called a bungalow. The house, the garage, and the screen and porch is also on that. So that is, I need to actually calculate how much growing space I have. And I'm not maxed out at all. A lot of people think I am, and then I add things. Like, oh, I didn't know you had room for that. Oh, I do. I would love to redo the roof on the garage, it has a southern facing slope. I would love to redo that as a living roof, but that takes money and I'm probably not going to do it. It's a great idea though. So thank you. Thank you, Kristen. Verna says, so would I. Always wondered what the whole front yard looks like. Okay. I will do a front yard. How about this? I'll do a front yard tour and I'll do a backyard tour at some point. Maybe I'll do the front yard. Maybe I can do a winter tour and a spring tour. Okay. Ideas for videos here. Swanson, Esso Swanson says, Sow and Tare homestead video forthcoming. Start from across the street for the whole view. Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it. The link is above for what? I don't think I can look at that. Verna, what is that? Oh, Gidra says, I understand the stuff in the yard. Yeah. Sometimes things just, they're a work in progress for a while. Verna says, Katrina, you should do the winter and summer view. That's a good idea. Oh, the Steve B3. Let's all hit the like button. Thank you. Thank you. You guys are awesome. All right. I have my homework for me. I'm not going to do it this week. We'll see day. Steve says I did my too. I have to find a day where it's after, maybe during the weekend, because after work, the light kind of goes away pretty quick. So maybe one of those weekends. Oh, it was a Sunday's video where you transplanted the rabbits. Transported. Thank you. So the link that Verna put was the link for this Sunday's video, which has the full spectrum of breeding to nursing, basically, for the rabbits. Awesome. Aaron says, by your next live, we will have pressure canned water. Good. I hope that you do great with that. I think you will. Everybody heard him, right? Everybody saw that. This is your buddy group for holding you accountable. Yay, Aaron. Steve says. All right, so yeah, I guess maybe we can extend this homework, right, Aaron? If you have not canned anything and you want to learn to can, go to the National Center for Home Food Preservation. You can also look at some of my videos, but I recommend you go through theirs and pretend like you're canning something and just do it with water. You can water bath can something like, oh, I'm going to make jam. I'm going to pretend I'm making jam, and then it's hot and I put it in a jar and I put the lid on and I put it in, and you go through the steps and see if it seals. If you have a pressure canner, do that. Do the same thing. Pretend like you're making something meat, pretend like you're making broth, and you can seal that. And then once you have that water, it's sterile. So you can dump it out and that's fine. Or you can actually just hold on to it and have sterile water for emergencies, for medical emergencies, for drinking water emergencies, for whatever emergencies that happen. And then when you need another jar, you just open it and use it. Use it for some rice. Drink it, pour it on your plants, something. And for that exercise, I would say you can reuse a metal. If you have a metal lid, just reuse one. It's just water. It's not going to be. Water doesn't go bad. I mean, I guess it does, but once you sterilize it, it shouldn't go bad, and you can use it. Yeah. Yep. Now he has to. Verna put the link for canning websites for the rules. That's National Center for Home Food Preservation. Thank you, Verna. Ed, you're funny. He says, make sure you taste the water to see if you burned it. Yeah, why don't you taste the water to see how it is freeze dried, Ed? We're joking, guys. Don't say if it turns yellow. Yeah, that's probably good advice. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys. We are at 7:14. So I think unless anybody has something pressing, some questions, maybe there's someone listening that hasn't said anything yet. Let me know if you have any questions or comments or want to talk about something else. But if everybody else is good, we're going to call it a night. Let's see. No one's going. All right. Thank you guys for coming out and chatting with me. It's been fun. And yeah, enjoy the evening. And same time, same channel next Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific time. And it's been great. Oh, we have some comments. Steve says, fun time, my friends. Thanks for hanging out. Quail out. Deidre says, enjoyed the chat as usual. Nice. Ed says, night, everyone. Yes, thank you. And thanks for coming. And good night. Have a blessed week. See people at noon on Wednesday. Verna has a what do you call it, Verna? Lunch with Verna? Yeah. She has a live on Wednesday at lunchtime. And if you are able to, you should make that. I'm working during that time. But you should make that. Awesome. Erin says, good night, everyone. Good night.